Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark went to battle today with the Atlanta Dream taking on the Indiana Fever. As you can see right here, Angel Reese, got called for a foul on Caitlin Clark flopping. Angel Reese smiling, let people know about it. She also did a little bit of mocking there.
Every time Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese share the same floor, the internet does not just react. It explodes. One hard foul becomes a conspiracy. One stare becomes disrespect. One camera angle becomes evidence. Suddenly, everyone online acts like they just watched the biggest scandal in basketball.
Last night, the Indiana Fever went up against Angel Reese and the Atlanta Dream. Caitlin Clark debuting her new shoe, her signature shoe, the Caitlin Ones. Last night would have been a night where if you really had your teammates back, if you had your players back as a coach, you step up. You rise to the occasion. You play inspired. You give effort defensively. You don't look lackadaisical.
But here is the truth. That is what the machine wants. Because Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese is real. The tension is real. The history is real. But a lot of what gets built around it is not real at all. It is rage bait.
About the foul baiting as well. Tonight, Angel Reese went off for 21, 11, 1 assist. She did so on 57% shooting. Caitlin Clark, 26.7 assists, 2 rebounds, but 5 turnovers and a minus 12 plus minus as well. Also, Angel Reese right now, the only player in the W to be averaging 15 plus points and 12 rebounds. She's actually the only person averaging a 15-point double-double right now in the W. Performing really, really well in year 3 here is Angel Reese.
Today we need to separate the real rivalry from the fake drama. And the craziest part is they do not need to fake anything. The real story is big enough. This exploded in the 2023 National Championship. LSU versus Iowa. Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark. Reese's team wins the title. The cameras catch Reese doing the "you can't see me" gesture toward Clark, the same gesture Clark had used earlier in the tournament. And then Reese points to her ring finger. That one moment lit the fuse.
And Angel Reese knows a ring is coming.
Overnight, the country split into sides. Some called it confidence. Some called it disrespect. The conversation became personal. It became ugly. And the internet learned one dangerous thing. Clark plus Reese equals clicks. Then they both enter the WNBA, and the rivalry scales up. Now it is the pros. It is national television. Every possession gets slowed down, zoomed in, circled in red, and turned into evidence. A hard box out becomes disrespect. A foul becomes targeting. A look after a bucket becomes beef. A quote gets chopped up and pushed out like a declaration of war. That is where fans need to stop and ask one question. What actually happened? Because here is what is real. Clark does not want to lose to Reese. Reese does not want to lose to Clark. That is not hatred. That is sports.
I don't owe Angel Reese an apology. I've always thought Angel Reese was a really good player. She was going to do one thing at a high level when she got drafted, and that was rebound. And she's done that. What she has done is kind of shut a lot of people up, because it was plenty of people that were saying she can't score in the WNBA. She's not going to be able to get buckets in the WNBA. And she's worked on her game. She's improved her offensive game. And if it was this easy, other players would be doing what she's doing.
Yeah.
They would all be getting double-doubles, and they can't. And so you got to give her credit. She went out and worked on her game, because coming out of college, it was, she's not going to be able to score in the WNBA. She can get some rebounds.
When Indiana and Chicago meet, the intensity jumps. Bodies hit the floor. Rebounds get fought for. Every loose ball feels bigger than one regular season game. And the contrast is real. Clark is the long-range storm. She bends the defense from 30 feet away. Reese is the force on the glass. She lives in the paint, fights for position, and turns missed shots into extra possessions. One creates panic with range. The other creates pressure with physicality. And the impact is real too. When these two are involved, people watch, argue, buy tickets, and suddenly know the schedule. That is growth happening in real time. But now we need to talk about what is not real. The mind reading, the fake quotes, The thumbnails screaming that one of them destroyed the other. The videos claiming one player exposed the other because of a 3-second clip with no audio. This is how the rage bait machine works. Somebody finds a clip. Maybe it is a hard foul. Maybe it is a normal collision. Maybe it is just two players standing near each other after a whistle. Then they freeze the most dramatic frame. They add a red arrow. They add one giant word like attacked, mocked, or humiliated. Then they invent the emotion. They tell you Clark was furious. They tell you Reese was laughing. They tell you somebody was jealous, bitter, scared, exposed, or embarrassed. But when you actually watch the full clip, sometimes nothing happened. No quote, no confrontation, no scandal, just basketball. And by the time anyone checks, it is too late. 10 other channels copy it. A fake quote gets repeated like it is confirmed. A normal foul becomes a personal attack. Millions of people walk away believing they saw something that never actually happened. That is the dangerous part. Attention is good for the league. Emotion is part of sports. The problem is when fans stop watching the game and start watching edited evidence packages designed to make them angry. So here is the rule. If someone says Reese said something, show the clip. If someone says Clark reacted, show the footage. If someone says there was an incident, show the full play. Not one screenshot, not a red circle, not dramatic music. The proof. Because this rivalry does not need fake fuel. It is already fire. And honestly, that is my biggest take. The people inventing extra drama are not making Clark versus Reese bigger. They are making it cheaper. They are taking two of the most important athletes in the sport and flattening them into cartoon characters. Clark becomes the hero, Reese becomes the villain, or depending on the channel, the roles flip. But real life is not that simple. Caitlin Clark is a killer competitor. Angel Reese is a high-level player, a competitor, a personality, and someone who understands that attention is part of the business. That is what makes this compelling. Not fake hatred, real tension, real history, real contrast, real stakes. They do not need to be friends. Rivalries are built on stakes. They are built on the feeling that when these two players share the court, something bigger is happening. And Clark versus Reese has that. When they play, it matters. So the next time you see a thumbnail screaming that one of them snapped, mocked, attacked, or destroyed the other, ask one question. Where is the proof? Because the real Clark versus Reese story is not boring. But the fake version is just people selling you anger because they know you will click. So enjoy the rivalry. Pick your side. Argue in the comments. But do not let somebody trick you into believing a feud they had to invent. Watch the game. Watch the full clip. So let me know below, is Clark versus Reese good for the league, or has the media already pushed it too far? Like the video if you want the real story without the fake outrage. Subscribe for the next one, and I will see you in the next video.
And then Tosh, I just want to ask you, like, playing with Liv, it looks like you're having a ton of fun out there. Just how much fun is this right now?
It's really fun when you have a true point guard that understands the game, that reads the game very well before she even get the ball. It's easy. She make my job easy. I make her job easy.
It's really fun when you have a true point guard. 8 words. That's all it took. And they didn't come from some random troll hiding behind a keyboard. They came from Natasha Howard, a 3-time champion, a veteran who shared a locker room with Caitlin Clark in Indiana. The internet heard those words and exploded. But here's what nobody saw coming.
What's going on with this? I don't like what's going on with this. At some point, as a Caitlin Clark fan, if that's what you are, or whatever your stance is, it's time for you to stand up. The Indiana Fever are playing games. The Indiana Fever are treating the fans like they are idiots. And all of a sudden, the Indiana Fever are trying to use Caitlin Clark's fans to the benefit of everyone else once again, while we have watched them refuse to do right by her.
5 days later, Caitlin Clark walked into Gainbridge Fieldhouse and delivered an answer that no player, no duo, nobody in 30 years of WNBA basketball has ever delivered. And by the final buzzer, the true point guard crowd had nowhere left to hide.
Tonight, another Commissioner's Cup game. The Fever are in defense of their championship from a year ago. They likely need to win tonight to keep those chances alive. That pass deflected way outside for Clark, who drops a 3. Big makes it look so easy.
Let's back up. Last Saturday, reporters asked Natasha Howard what it's like playing with Olivia Miles, the rookie point guard lighting it up for Minnesota. Howard's answer: "It's really fun when you have a true point guard."
And then Tosh, I just want to ask you, like, playing with Liv, it looks like you're having a ton of fun out there. Just how much fun is this right now?
It's really fun when you have a true point guard that understands the game, that reads the game very well before she even get the ball. It's easy. She make my job easy. I make her job easy.
Now, maybe she meant nothing by it. Maybe it was just a compliment for a talented rookie. But Howard isn't some neutral observer. She played in Indiana. She played with Caitlin Clark. So when a former teammate starts talking about what it's like to finally have a true point guard, fans connected the dots in about half a second. And the haters? They didn't need an invitation. The posts started flying. Clark is not a true point guard. All she did was choke in back-to-back national championship games. One account even predicted she'd fake a neck injury because her shot was struggling. That's the level of disrespect we're talking about. Not criticism, not analysis, just pure noise.
For it. I am so for this. I love it. I absolutely love it. Like, you know when people, when it comes to basketball, just have absolute hatred in their heart for another human? Like, everyone's like, oh, these players don't hate Caitlin Clark, they don't hate Caitlin Clark. And people are like, oh no, they resent her. I don't know. We don't even care. There's no point having these conversations anymore. They're all getting paid now. They're all getting paid. There's no point having these conversations. It's not 2024 anymore. But we can be very clear. Cody McMahon and Caitlin Clark. Caitlin fucking hates her guts.
And through all of it, Caitlin Clark said nothing, not one word, because she didn't need words. She had a date with the Chicago Sky on Thursday night, and what happened in that game made every single one of those posts age like milk. It started like a blowout. The Fever jumped on Chicago early and stretched the lead to 19 points. Gainbridge was rocking. This looked like a statement win in the making. But then the wheels started coming off. The Sky closed the half on a 14-2 run.
Cloud, pass ahead, Sheldon with the finish.
And that's how Chicago's been scoring. They've been driving the lane just like this.
Once again.
Then they opened the third quarter on another run and actually took the lead. A 19-point cushion gone.
We'll set up the offense. Cardoso inside. Cardoso with the hoop.
And suddenly, this wasn't a celebration anymore. It was a fight. Clark and Aaliyah Boston dragged Indiana back in front, and with under 19 seconds left, Clark stepped to the line and calmly knocked down 2 free throws for a 5-point lead. Game over, right? Wrong. The Fever turned it over on the inbounds pass, 5 seconds on the clock, and Skylar Diggins, one of the best guards of her generation, rose up from deep and buried a 3 to tie it at 98. Overtime, in front of a stunned home crowd, this is the exact moment where the haters expected the collapse, the choke, the fake injury, remember? Instead, Indiana slammed the door. Boston buried a jumper from the free throw line. Kelsey Mitchell ran the floor for a layup. And the Fever pulled away to win it, 114-106. Now look at the stat sheet. Caitlin Clark, 32 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds, 40 minutes. And get this, 15 for 15 from the free throw line. Perfect. Under the most pressure in the biggest moments, she did not miss a single one. 30 points and 10 assists. That's the most in WNBA history. More than Diana Taurasi, more than Sabrina Ionescu, more than Skylar Diggins, who, by the way, was standing on that very court when Clark passed her. So let's go back to the insult. A true point guard. What does a true point guard actually do? She runs the offense. She makes everyone around her better. She delivers in winning time. Thursday night, Clark scored 32 and handed out 10 assists and helped her center to a career high in the same game. Her scoring didn't take food off Boston's plate. It set the table for her. That is not a scorer pretending to play point guard. That is the definition of the position. Even Stephanie White struggled to wrap her head around it, telling reporters after the game, "I don't know if I can really put it in perspective in terms of quantifying it, and especially because they're so young." So young. That's the scary part. This wasn't a peak. This was a preview. Here's the takeaway. The disrespect is never going to stop. There will always be another quote, another post, another narrative, But Caitlin Clark keeps doing the one thing haters can't argue with. She answers on the floor. They said she's not a true point guard. She responded with a night that no point guard in league history, true or otherwise, has ever had. So now I want to hear from you. Was Natasha Howard's comment a shot at Caitlin Clark, or did the internet turn a harmless quote into a war? And after Thursday night, is there a single argument left? What do you think? Drop it in the comments below.
Oh, yeah. Good job. You made it. You made it through the game. We got a lot of Stephanie White half-court action tonight. And, boy, it could be construed as a rough watch. A rough watch.
Not the critics. Not the people who said Caitlin Clark was shooting too much. Not the people who said Indiana could not win playing through her. And definitely not the people who spent weeks acting like the Fever's problems started with number 22. Because now Indiana is winning. Caitlin Clark is controlling games. Sophie Cunningham is catching fire. And the same league that looked comfortable watching the Fever struggle now has a very different problem on its hands.
Caitlin Clark gonna have them haters out after this one. Did you like that? All of this, Caitlin Clark is unlikable. She's becoming unlikable. Did you like that? 14 assists. The girl was throwing dimes left and right like Magic Johnson. We got to get into this 21 point, 14 assists, double-double, and the blonde bomber Sophie Cunningham is still on fire from Connecticut.
The Fever are no longer just interesting. They are dangerous. And the scary part is Caitlin Clark did not even have to shoot the ball well for it to happen. That is what makes this game so important. Because if you only looked at the box score quickly, you might think this was just another solid Caitlin Clark night. 21 points, 14 assists, 5 rebounds, another double-double, another Fever win. But that does not tell the full story.
If you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping. All the Caitlin Clark haters is about to be out. Caitlin Clark, 14 assists, a season high. Can your best player go get you 21 and 14 in an off shooting night? Caitlin Clark was passing out assists like trick or treat candy. You get a treat. You get a treat. You get a treat. You get a treat. She's just giving out gifts and treats to everybody. Everybody gets treats. Everybody gets fed when Caitlin Clark has that basketball in her hand. The best player in the league, the best point guard in the league, hands down. It ain't close. It ain't nothing to talk about. Caitlin Clark with another double-double, 21 points, 14 assists. As she did her part to secure a victory for the Indiana Fever, she also contributed 5 rebounds.
Clark went 5 for 15 from the field. She struggled from 3. She missed shots that fans expect her to make. And somehow, she still controlled the entire game. That is the part the league should be worried about. Because when Caitlin Clark can have an average shooting night and still bend the game completely in Indiana's favor, that means the Fever are becoming more than just a one-player story. They are becoming a team.
But the shooting was awful. And I'm going to be real. Caitlin, mama, I need you to make shots. I need you to make shots. Caitlin Clark didn't hit her first 3 until late in the fourth quarter. She was 1 of 8 from 3, 5 of 15 from the floor. Okay, off shooting nights happen. She shot nearly 50% last week, nearly 40% from 3, while she became player of the week. But hey man, we got high expectations. I need Cece to make shots, but this was still a quality game. We're gonna get into the Clark Show highlights.
And that is exactly what the critics did not want to see. For months, the debate around Clark was always framed the same way. Is she doing too much? Is she forcing shots? Is Indiana better when she slows down? Is the offense too dependent on her? But this game showed the other side of the argument. When Clark has the ball, everyone becomes more dangerous. She was not just scoring. She was reading the floor. She was pulling defenders toward her. She was forcing rotations. She was finding cutters. She was hitting shooters. She was creating rhythm for everybody else.
It looks like, hey, we are 4-0. We're 4-0 playing Caitlin Clark style of offense. Stephanie White, you're done. Your offense is done. Forget about it. Let's take a look at the Clark Show.
Lexi Hall.
Caitlin Clark did her thing today, man. This girl was throwing dimes. She was throwing absolute dimes left and right. Look at that pass to Monique Billings. Easy score. The pick and roll with Caitlin Clark is unguardable. Behind the back and one. That's when the ref finally made a foul call. Finally. But, I mean, Caitlin Clark, even though she's not, and this is the beautiful thing about Caitlin Clark. You see the steal there, pushing it up the floor. Okay, she's able to impact the game in ways where it's like, yeah, she's having a bad shooting night, but the girl's getting steals. The girl's getting 5-6 rebounds out of the point guard spot. She's getting 14 assists. Look at that behind the back pass. Good Lord, Caitlin Clark, you're putting on a show. You're putting on a show.
And that is how a night where she could not shoot lights out still turned into one of the clearest examples of her impact. 14 assists is not an accident. It means the offense was moving through her hands. It means her teammates were getting better looks. It means the Fever were playing with pace, confidence, and trust. And once Sophie Cunningham got involved, the whole game changed. Sophie did not just give Indiana bench points. She gave them energy. She gave them attitude. She gave them that spark that turns a normal win into a statement.
Sophie Cunningham, guys, she was the light of our life tonight. She went absolutely berserk, particularly in the fourth quarter. I do want to bring this up. When Brittany Sykes got hurt, the Tempo were all in this game.
She came off the bench and lit the game up. 24 points, 6 threes. Big shot after big shot. Every time the crowd needed a reason to wake up, Sophie gave them one. And that is why fans started reacting so strongly, because this is what they have been waiting for. Not just Clark hitting deep threes, not just one superstar carrying everything, but a Fever team where Clark's passing unlocks everyone else. That is the version of Indiana that becomes a nightmare. Aaliyah Boston can dominate inside. Kelsey Mitchell can attack and score. Sophie Cunningham can punish defenses from the perimeter. And Clark can sit in the middle of all of it, controlling the tempo like a quarterback. That is when the Fever stop looking like a young team trying to survive. They start looking like a team nobody wants to play. And now the conversation around the league has to change. Because for a while, it was easy for people to blame Clark whenever Indiana struggled. If the Fever lost, people said she shot too much. If she passed, people said she was not aggressive enough. If she got frustrated, people said she needed to mature. If she stayed quiet, people said she lacked leadership. No matter what happened, the spotlight always found her. But now the Fever are winning, and the same spotlight is becoming uncomfortable for everyone else. Because if Clark is the reason the building is full, the reason the ratings are high, the reason every Fever game feels like an event, and now also the reason Indiana's offense is exploding, then the league has a much bigger question to answer. Why did so many people spend so much time acting like she was the problem? That is why this moment feels different. This was not just a win. This was a correction. A correction to the idea that Clark's style cannot work in the WNBA. A correction to the idea that Indiana needed to take the ball out of her hands. A correction to the idea that her game was just logo threes and hype. Because this version of Clark was not just a shooter, she was a floor general. And when the defense sent pressure, she made the right pass. When teammates ran the floor, she rewarded them. When Indiana needed control, she slowed the game down. When Indiana needed pace, she pushed it. That is leadership. And the Fever looked different because of it. The spacing looked better, the ball movement looked sharper, the confidence looked real, and most importantly, the players around Clark looked like they believed every possession could turn into something. That is why Sophie Cunningham matters so much in this story. Her performance was not separate from Clark's, it was connected to it. Because when a player like Sophie starts hitting shots, defenses can no longer load up the same way. They cannot just chase Clark. They cannot just collapse on Boston. They cannot just crowd the paint. They have to respect everybody. And once that happens, Clark gets even more dangerous. That is the chain reaction. Clark creates the advantage. Her teammates punish the defense. The defense adjusts. Then Clark gets more space. That is how good offenses grow. And that is why Fever fans are suddenly looking at this team differently. A few weeks ago, people were asking if Indiana had lost its identity. Now they are asking how high the ceiling really is, because this team has not peaked yet. Clark can shoot better, Boston can get even cleaner looks, Mitchell can keep attacking, Sophie can become the bench weapon Indiana desperately needs, and the chemistry can keep improving. That is the part that should worry everybody else. This was not a perfect Caitlin Clark game, And Indiana still looked explosive. So what happens when she does start shooting well again? What happens when the threes fall early? What happens when the assists stay high? What happens when the bench keeps producing? What happens when Indiana starts believing this is who they are? That is the problem the league is facing now. Not just Caitlin Clark as a scorer. Caitlin Clark as the engine of a team that is finally starting to understand how dangerous it can be. And that is why this game went viral, because people did not just watch Indiana win, they watched the story change in real time. The critics got quieter, the fans got louder, the fever got better. And Caitlin Clark reminded everyone that even when her shot is not falling, she can still take over a basketball game. That is what nobody expected, and that is what the rest of the WNBA has to deal with now.